What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. Hope everybody had a safe and joyous Christmas. Now, WBO number one ranked and mandatory contender Shakur Stevenson is looking to have a big 2021. He's scheduled to face the winner of Jamel Herring versus Carl Frampton, a fight that has been pushed back twice now. You know, it was supposed to take place in December. They pushed it back to January. Now they're looking for February for that fight to take place in 2021. Now, the fight was scheduled to take place in the UK, but due to the country getting put on lockdown by UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson due to a variant of the coronavirus that's spreading all across the world, they're not going to have any sporting events that's going to have crowds of any size there. So that fight, more than likely, is going to get pushed and moved to the United States and put in the Las Vegas bubble, Las Vegas Conference Center for February of 2021. Now, it's still outside chance that it could take place in the UK, but they won't have a crowd there. So the best bet is for them to move the fight to Las Vegas, where they stage multiple cards in the latter part of 2020 up under Top Rank Boxing. So the winner of that fight is going to fight Shakur Stevenson. That fight will take place in the summer of 2021. Shakur Stevenson wins that belt. Top Rank Boxing is looking to make Shakur Stevenson versus Vasyl Lomachenko on Heisemen Trophy night in the December of 2021. As Top Rank has made a tradition out of this, basically having fights on right after the Heisman Trophy. They had Vasyl Lomachenko headline multiple cards after the Heisman Trophy ceremony. Last year's Heisman Trophy ceremony was headlined by Terrence Bud Crawford fighting Eagles Kavaliauskas and Teofimo Lopez fighting Richard Comey, which was a hell of a card put on by Top Rank Boxing. And they'll be looking to continue that tradition in 2021 by staging Shakur Stevenson versus Vasyl Lomachenko. They want to put that fight in Madison Square Garden, but everything is still up in the air due to this coronavirus. But Dr. Fauci has came with some great news a couple of days ago saying that they hope to have 80% of the country immune to the coronavirus. You know, hope the country develop what they call a herd immunity by the latter part of 2021. If that's the case, then they'll be able to have crowds at sporting events in states besides Texas. It seems like the Alamo Dome and AT&T Stadium in Dallas are the only stadiums that are allowing crowds for boxing matches. As you've seen a lot of fights staged there. The last fight staged, last week? Canelo Alvarez versus Callum Smith. That fight took place in San Antonio, Texas in the Alamo Dome. And 2 weeks before that, Errol Spence Jr. fought Danny Garcia in AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas. So outside of that, and that's pretty much cards that were put on by the PBC and Matchroom Boxing. Bob Arum has yet to put on an event in Texas with a crowd. So I will assume if they can't get Madison Square Garden, that they'll be looking to continue to put fights on in the Las Vegas bubble, Las Vegas Conference Center. And that's a possibility for Vasyl Lomachenko versus Shakur Stevenson. But that's the big matchup that Top Rank's Bob Arum and his his son-in-law, Todd DeBuff, are looking to make in the latter part of 2021. Let me know your thoughts upon that potential matchup. I think Lomachenko could give Shakur Stevenson a problem. I think Lomachenko's problem in that Teofimo Lopez was he gave too much respect to Teofimo Lopez's power. Lopez has a lot of power in both hands. And I think that made him kind of weary in the early rounds. And he kind of waited to try to soften up Teofimo Lopez, hope that he would fatigue a little bit, lose some steam on his punches, and then he would go on the attack. I don't think he's going to have that same fear factor against Shakur Stevenson, who is a sharp puncher, a very accurate puncher, but doesn't have the power of Teofimo Lopez. But you got to give Shakur Stevenson his props too. He has enough power that people don't just try to walk him down. So he's got respectable power, but he doesn't have that. He doesn't have those detonating bombs in both hands like Teofimo Lopez does. So that'll make for a strategic matchup. Now, Shakur Stevenson came out today or yesterday and said that he will win every round against Lomachenko, 12-0. I don't see that happening. I think Lomachenko can win some rounds. I think his awkwardness and his style of fighting will take a few rounds for Shakur Stevenson to get adjusted to figure out. And I think toward the middle of the second half of the fight, I think Shakur Stevenson will take over with the jab. I think he will be able to pretty much break down Vasyl Lomachenko, and break him down and catch him with some combinations, and basically set up the right hand and set up the left hook and start scoring at a more constant connect rate than he did earlier in the fight against Vasyl Lomachenko. Vasyl Lomachenko is a very tricky fighter. They call him the Matrix for a reason. He's very awkward. His style is like a style that we haven't seen in boxing before. It'll take him a little while, but Shakur Stevenson has a natural advantage, being the naturally bigger guy. Even though Lomachenko is coming down from 135 to 130, Lomachenko is actually a natural 126-pounder. So even at 130, Shakur Stevenson, in my opinion, will be the much bigger guy on fight night, and I think he'll be able to use that. As Shakur Stevenson will be looking to slip the jab and get inside, I think Shakur Stevenson will be able to tie him up, push him off, get him back toward the middle of the ring, and pot shot him from the outside with the jab and right hand. So we'll see how that fight plays out. But you heard it here first. Vasyl Lomachenko versus Shakur Stevenson. I think Shakur Stevenson wins that fight somewhere like 8 rounds to 4, 7 rounds to 5. I think he wins a unanimous decision win over Lomachenko. But I think early on, I think Lomachenko will have his moments. He'll be motivated to capture another world title. And I think he'll be leading in the first 6 rounds. Won't be a bit surprised to see Vasyl Lomachenko maybe leading in the first half of that fight. Either 4-2 or maybe 3-3 in the first half of that fight. But I think round 7 through 12, Shakur Stevenson, like the great Floyd Mayweather Jr., will make the adjustment and figure him out and take over the fight in the second half of the fight. Floyd Mayweather did the same thing when he fought Marcos Maidana, who was very awkward, swung a lot of wild punches from wild angles. It took Floyd a little while to figure him out, and he took over that fight in the second half of the fight in the first fight with Maidana and won that fight by unanimous decision. I think this fight will go similar to that one. He'll take him a little while to figure out the awkward style of Lomachenko, who's a very unorthodox type of fighter, but I think he'll figure it out and take over in the second half of the fight. Let me know your thoughts on the matchup between Shakur Stevenson versus Vasyl Lomachenko. Who you like in that fight? Let me know your thoughts and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I'll holla.